My cross-examination, actually not a cross-examination, just some clarifications here and there. Basically two questions. Basically two questions. It's going to be based exclusively on what you said, on your testimony in chief. Now, be rest assured, your resume, in other words, your work history will never feature in my clarification questions. I'm satisfied. And basically, I'm quite satisfied that in view of your resume, you are a well-experienced officer. Now, I've also noted that there are some contradictions between yourself here and there, between what you said and what Mr. Mohane said in respect of the rights that Mr. Mohane allegedly explained to Mr. Sibiya. That will not also feature in my clarifications. The reason for that is pretty simple. There are other issues in law that are normally referred as de minimis curat non lex. In other words, there are contradictions that are material and immaterial. Do you follow me?
I'm following.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, I heard you say that after you had arrested Mr. Sibiya on the basis of the J50 warrant, that I will also not contest, you had an interview with him regarding those drug charges, and ultimately you also got an opportunity to talk to him about this present case. Not so?
That's correct, my lord.
Thank you, man. And I heard you very well when you said before you could engage him on this case, you kicked off by explaining his rights.
Yes,
Is that what happened?
That's correct, my lord.
Thank you. And as you proceeded with your testimony, you also made mention of the fact that each time you were engaging him about this case, you went on to remind him of his rights. So,
that's correct, my lord.
I did a cursory count of the number of times in which you explained his rights and the time at which you had this engagement with him. I think I've counted almost like 3, 4, 5 times. If my counting was proper, not so.
Plus minus, my lord.
Yes. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, ma'am. I take it that in view of the experience that you have as a police officer, that was not for the first time that you had an engagement with a suspect. In other words, it wasn't for the first time that you were interviewing a suspect, not so?
That's correct, my lord.
Thank you. What is the purpose of appraising a suspect with the rights that you said you explained to accused number one?
My lord, to make sure, my lord, that accused number one understand that, my lord, even though he is an arrested person, my lord, he's still, my lord, entitled to his rights, my lord, because everyone, my lord, is covered by a constitution, my lord, that the rights, my lord, of any person, my lord, must be protected. I did not want him to see himself as if, my lord, he's no longer counted, my lord, amongst the rights, my lord, provided by the constitution.
Bengenzela nje phela ukuthi ke ngimsize njengomuntu oboshiwe ukuthi azi ukuthi usenawo amalungelo acabanga ukuthi aselahliwe amalungelo akhe nokuthi usavikelwe amalungelo akhe.
Thank you. As I understand you, is that even before you begin to speak to him, you need to explain those rights, as you say, that are contained in the Constitution. Am I correct to understand that to mean that basically serves to regularize, in order to legitimize the process of interviewing him?
Yes, my lord.
I'm not so sure if you understood my question. Did you understand my question before you say yes, my lord? Did you understand my question? If you don't understand it, say no, Mr. Mnisi. No. Can you please repeat yourself? I'd get
My lord, you said that I wanted to make sure that he understand his rights, or to emphasize, my lord, in terms of him, my lord, understanding his rights.
Yeah, I could get from the answer that you just gave that probably you missed a thing or two from my question. My question basically is this: would I be correct to understand you that the reason why you would start off by, or you kick off by explaining a rights to a suspect, those rights that you said are enshrined in the Constitution, in other words, is to legitimize the process of the interview that you're just about to have with him. In other words, to regularize it. Do you now understand it?
I understand, my lord.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, in an event that such explanation of the rights does not happen, in your understanding as a member of the South African Police Services, and with the background that you have, what would be the effect of that non-explanation of his rights?
My lord, can you repeat the question?
I am saying, thank you. I am saying, in an event that the rights that you said you would explain to an accused person that is just about to interview, is not happening, In other words, when those rights have not been explained and you kick off by interviewing him without explaining his rights, what is the effect of that process of not explaining his rights?
My Lord, that process, my Lord, will be illegitimate, my Lord.
Ngamusho ke uma kwenzeka ukuthi ke ungamchazeli umsola amalungelo akhe uchaza ukuthini uchaza ukuthi ke lokhu lento ezobe nikhuluma kuzobe kwenzekani ke ngayo ukuthi kuzokwenza ukuthi ingabi semthethweni.
Thank you. I'm noting the term that you're using, illegitimate. In other words, that will be unlawful. Not so?
That's correct, my Lord.
Thank you.
Athi yebo kunjani.
Let's get to the very first time at which you explained the accused number one's right. When I say accused number one, I mean it's B and A. The very first time at which you explained his rights. Let us just try to recap. Where were you when you started to explain his rights?
Oqala ke uchazela umsolwa ngamalungelo akho nani la?
Let me qualify my question. In respect of this case, in respect of the case that we're busy with now.
Sikhuluma ngaleli cala leli esiphezu kwayo.
Yes. Where were you? Or where did that interview take place?
Nakhuluma nini la?
At Vusimuzi Hostel, my Lord, outside.
Sasevusmuzi hostel.
Thank you. Were you in a car? Were you seated were you in a sittable situation? In other words, he was in a chair, there was a table in front of you, and then he started to just explain the circumstances under which those rights were explained.
Achaza ukuthi nani la ngesikhathi nasemotweni noma nahleli phansi noma ubona indawo la nahleli khona uhleli esitulweni kunetafula phakathi kwakho naye awuchaza.
My Lord, he was sitting in the car.
Yes.
Wayehleli emotweni
And I was standing outside, my Lord,
kami ngaphandle emoto.
after Lord coming back from making inquiries.
Emva ukuthi ke ngiyobuza le ngaphandle.
In other words, my Lord, the window was open.
Ukuthi ke
So
ifastela ladvulekile.
I engaged with him, my Lord, while I was outside and he was inside the car.
Ngakhuluma naye ngingaphandle yena ngaphakathi kwemoto.
Thank you. Just to complete the picture, let us recap those rights that you explained to him.
Ake siphinde ke sibheke la malungelo lo owamchazela wona.
The right to remain, must I say it in Zulu? Because I said the right in Zulu.
I did not get
Ngitshela
that.
ngolukamthane ngitshela ngolukamthane.
Angilankingi.
I said, my Lord, you have a right to remain silent.
Ngathi ke unemvume ukuthi ungathula.
You have a right not to be compelled to make a confession or admission,
Ngathi nemvume ukuthi ungaphoqeleki ukuthi ulethe uvume isono.
which could be used as evidence against you.
Ngoba lokho kungasetshenziswa ebufakazini obungalethwa kuphikisana nawo.
I said, my Lord, you have a right to consult with a legal representative of your choice.
Asho ukuthi ke unemvume unelungelo ukuthi ungakhuluma nommeli oqokwe uwe.
And if you do not have one, the state can provide you with a legal representative at the expense of the state.
Ngasilethe uma ungenayo ummeli umbuso uzokunika ummeli ungakhokhela.
And I said to him, you have a right not to be compelled to give self-incriminating evidence.
Ngathi ke unelungelo ukuthi ke ungalethi ubufakazi obungakufaka ecaleni.
Which could be used as evidence against you.
Ngoba lokho kungasetshenziswa ke kuquleni kwecala la.
Thank you, ma'am. And as you were saying, you were explaining that to accuse him Zulu, not so. I take it he understood everything that you're explaining to him.
Hayi njoba ushilo ukuthi Umkhuluma naye ngolokamthaniya usho ukuthi wakuzwisisa konke lokwakusho.
Yes, my Lord, and he responded by saying, Yebo, ngiyezwa.
Yebo wakuzwisisa konke ngoba wathi mephundela wathi yes I understand.
Thank you, ma'am. Now you would understand, or let me put it this way. Am I correct to understand that when you explained those rights to him, you ultimately had to inquire from him what is it that he elects to do after you had rendered that explanation to him, not so?
Anjalo ukuthi uma somnike amalungelo umchazelileke wake wasufaneleke umnike ithuba lokuthi akutshele ukuthi uqoke ukwenzani.
Is that not so?
That's correct, my Lord.
Athi yebo kunjalo.
Did you tell him that Mr. Sibia, now that I've already explained these rights to you, now you need to tell me, having indicated to me that you understand what I've told you, now you need to tell me, what is it that you choose to do? Did you bring that to his attention?
Wakusho yini kuyena wathi Sodoma njengoba sengichazelileke usuqo ukwenzani. Ngamtshela into.
Yes, my Lord.
Yebo ngamtshela.
At what point, man?
Wamtshela nini?
My Lord, after giving him his rights,
Yes.
and then after he said he understood, my Lord,
Yes.
Emva umnika amalungelo akhe eseshilo nokuthi uyazwisisa.
Yes.
he started, my Lord, to make certain admissions.
Waqala ke ukuba avume izinto ezithize.
And my Lord,
I'm not saying narrate a story, ma'am. I'm not saying narrate a story. I'm aware of that technique. Don't narrate a story. Pertinent question is, at what point did you say to him, Mr. Sibia, now you have to tell me what your choice is?
Angifuni ke uphinde futhi.
This one, the witness is trying to give a sequence of events. It's not just to give a context to the answer.
At what point, ma'am,
my
did
Lord,
you explain, did you bring this to his attention that Mr. Sibia, now you've got to tell me what your choice is?
Manje wambuza nini ke ukuthi ke manje ke babusibiya njengoba sengichazelileke amalungelo usuqoka ukwenzani ke manje?
my Lord, the council is actually blocking me because I was trying to, he's asking at which point. So I was trying to take you through so that you can understand at which point.
I'm not blocking you, ma'am. I'm only trying you
So that there's
to give a narrative. I'm not saying give a narrative.
Mnisi,
If I want
please,
you to
don't
explain, I'll say to
don't
you
argue
explain.
with
But
the
when I
witness.
say a point, can you please tell me it was at this point?
Mr. Mnisi,
As it is
you
a
can't
court.
prescribe to the witness how to answer. Just give me a chance.
Thank you, madam. You can narrate. It's fine.
Maqhubeke.
My Lord, I gave him his rights.
Yes,
Ngamnika amalungelo akhe
He said he understood.
wathi uyezwa.
yes.
He started, my Lord, to make admissions.
I'm sorry,
Wakhona izinto
madam. I'm
ezamukelayo.
sorry. I'm sorry, madam. Sometimes I'm missing this witness what you're saying. I'm thinking I may be too far from here because there's an echo that is yeah. So it distracts my hearing ability. I'm not so sure whether I could be given indulgence that just to come nearer there. So that I can be very close to the witness as she speaks, then I'm able to capture everything that she's saying. Thank you, my Lord, for the indulgence. Thank you, ma'am.
My Lord, as I'm saying
And
that,
narrate.
my Lord, gave him his rights,
ngamnika amalungelo akhe
and my lord, he said he understood.
wasethi uyezwisisa
And my lord started to tell me, my lord, about his knowledge or involvement in this case.
waseke yangitshela ke ngolwazi lwakhe nokuthi yena uthinte kangakanani-ke kulolu daba
I stopped him, my lord, as he continued,
ngase ngiyamisa-ke esalokhu eqhubeka
and told him, my lord, that he, to reiterate, my lord, to say he is not compelled to make any admissions or confession, my lord.
ngase ngiyamisa ngitshela ukuthi akaphoqelekile ukuthi amukele izinto ezithize
And that, my lord, he can ask, my lord, or consult, my lord, his lawyer,
ukuthi-ke angathintana nommeli wakhe
or my lord, a lawyer can be provided, my lord, at the state expense.
nokuthi-ke ummeli anganikwa yena kukhokha umbuso.
And my lord, he said, akawudingi ummeli, my lord, in Zulu.
And then he said in wasike ngesizulu, I do not need a lawyer.
In fact, my lord, in Zulu, he said, okwamanje angimdingi ummeli.
And wasethi-ke ngolukamthaniya, right now I do not need a lawyer.
That's why, my lord, I further asked him, why are you telling me this now?
Ngase ngambuza ukuthi yini indaba ungitshela lokhu manje.
He even asked me, what did I mean by that, my lord?
Ngase ngambuza ukuthi ngichaza ukuthini uma ngisho lokho.
And I told him, my lord, that you saw people were wrongfully arrested,
Ngithi wabona ukuthi khona abantu ababoshwa ngungekho
and the
emthethweni.
case, my lord, was still unsolved.
Yazi futhi ukuthi khona leli cala leli alikakapheli.
Why didn't you come forward and tell the police that, like what you are telling me?
Ngathi yini indaba kungezanga wazotshela amaphoyisa ukuthi nakho lokhu engikwazi njengoba ungitshela manje.
And my lord, he said he knew that one day he has to take a responsibility, my lord, for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa.
Ngathi-ke hayi uyazi ukuthi ngelinye ilanga ngifanele ngizoziphendulela mayelana nokushona kwasenzo.
You would know, ma'am, you would know that certain information that you're now narrating to this court is totally inadmissible. That's the reason why I said to you, give me the point at which you explain to him that, Mr. Sibiya, what your choice is. And out of respect of the court, when the court said I should allow you to narrate, and then you said, go on and narrate. And I knew that it will come to this information that is totally inadmissible at this stage of the trial. And I know you will be explaining the whole day. All that I want is, at what point did you say to him, Mr. Sibiya, what is your choice?
My lord, but I just take you through, my lord.
Ma'am, at what point did you say to Mr. Sibiya, what is your choice
Why?
of the right that I've explained to you?
While he was making admissions.
Mesa
Thank you.
ngikwazi ukuthi ngitshele lokho ngesikhathi-ke amukele umthisi.
Thank you. That's the simple answer that I was expecting from you.
Cha yena mpendulo elule bengifuna kuwena.
You are saying to this court, the point at which you brought to Mr. Sibiya's attention that he should exercise his choice was at a point at which he had already started to make admissions. Do I understand you to say that?
Manje uma ngizwisisa kahle ukuthi yena wamnika ithuba lokuthi akhethe ukuthi ufuna ukwenzani ngesikhathi usubona ukuthi khona izinto aqala ukuzamukela.
Do I understand you to mean that?
That's correct, my
Thank
lord.
you.
Athi yebo kunjalo.
Why did you have to wait, ma'am, to bring it to his attention the fact that, why did you have to wait up until he starts to make certain admissions to you before you could bring the fact that he has got a choice? He's got to make a choice on the rights that you have explained to him.
Yini eyenza ukuthi ulinde aze aqale ukuthi amukele izinto ezithize ukuthi wena umtshele ukuthi hayi phela ufanele uqoqa ukuthi ufuna ukuthini mayelana namalungelo akho.
My Lord, if you give a person his rights, my Lord, that on its own, my Lord, it's a choice. If I tell him that you have a right to consult with your legal representative of your choice, and if you do not have one, the state can provide you with a legal representative at the state expense. That
Thank
is,
you.
on its own, my Lord, is an option.
Manje uma umtshela umuntu ilungelo lakhe lokho kuyithu umnika ithuba lokuthi akhethe.
When you say to a person, you've got a right to a legal representation, you've got a right to an attorney of your own choice. If you don't have money, then the state can come to your assistance. Is that a choice?
Manje lokho umnika umuntu ithuba lokuthi akhethe umtshela ukuthi unomthuba lokuthi uyozifunela ummeli mengenayo ummeli ayo acela ukuthi ukuthi anike ummeli ongakhokhela.
Yes, my Lord, it's a choice.
Yebo kuqoka lokho.
Let us make it simple.
Asikwenze lokhu kube lula.
Why immediately after you had brought to his attention those rights that you said you explained to him? Look, I don't dispute that you explained those rights to him.
Angiphikisi ukuthi wamchazela lamalungelo.
I don't have facts on which I can base my argument that you did not explain those rights. But what I've said initially is that I'll be basing my clarification. Remember, it's not a cross-examination, it's just a clarification on exclusively what you said in your evidence.
Khumbula ukuthi lokho akona ukubuza umbuzo kodwa-ke ukuthi nje ngidinga ukuthi ungicacisele kukuthile ngigqile phela kulokhu ongitshele kona.
Thank you. Now the question is, immediately after you had explained his rights to him, the manner in which you did, why did you not bring it to his attention that Mr. Sibiya, now that I've explained these rights to you and you say you understand them, what do you then choose? Do you want a lawyer that you would that you will pay out of your own pocket, or do you want the state to assist you with a lawyer? Before we even begin with this interview,
Yini ungangitshela ukuthi njengoba sekuchazeleke amalungelo akho-ke manje-ke kufanele-ke ungitshele ukuthi qokwenzani uyamdinga yini ummeli noma uyakudinga yini ukuthi kube nomuntu ozokusiza singakaqali ukuthi sikhulume.
My Lord,
yes,
I did explain, my Lord, his. I did explain the rights, my Lord, to accused number one.
I've said,
And my Lord,
I have said that is not in dispute. I don't have facts on which to dispute the facts that we had explained his rights. The question is, why, even before you started to embark on the interview, immediately after you had explained those rights that I can't dispute that you explained them, bring it to his attention that what do you choose, Mr. Sibiya?
Angiphikisi ukuthi amalungelo vele wamtshela futhi ayikho into engenza ukuthi ngithi mhlambe ngingafika la sizodayisana inkani ukuthi wamtshela noma umtshelanga yini. Akuphikisi lokho. Into engifuna ukuyazi ukuthi ngemva kokuthi umtshele ngamalungelo akho yini indaba ongamtshelanga ukuthi hayi phela qoka ukuthi ufuna ukwenzani.
my Lord, when he said he does not need a lawyer, that was the end, my Lord. If someone says, I do not need a lawyer, do you have now to say, no, choose if you want the one of your choice or the state to provide you with one? Already, my Lord, he has answered, okwamanje angidingi lawyer.
Waphendula kwathi hayi cha ngidinga ummeli. Njengoba eseshilo ukuthi angidinga ummeli engasekho isidingo sokuthi ngimbuze ukuthi hayi manje-ke awufunile ummeli ongakhokhela ngoba esephendulile wathi okwamanje angimdingi ummeli.
Thank you. Now, is it correct that when you're explaining the type of rights that you said you explained to the accused person. You never told this court that after I had explained his rights, accused person elected to proceed to make a statement. And I then said to him, look, you're not compelled to make a statement. In other words, you brought the issue of a choice to him. Am I correct to say that that is coming for the first time now in this, I don't want to say a cross-examination, but in this clarification process? Is it correct?
My lord, he
As
said
the
he
court pleases, my
understood.
lord, before the witness answers. It is not for this witness. She's not taking down a statement. She's merely apprising the accused of his rights, and a process, as she explained, would follow later where a formal statement is taken. That's where an accused must now indicate what his election is. We submit that that's an unfair question because she was not taking down a statement from the accused.
Now, but wait. I just want to understand from you. Is there a standard procedure or process as to how a person has to explain the rights?
Is it please the court, my lord?
Hello? Is there? Because I'm aware of 120 plus decisions where the process is not uniform. You see this witness, for instance.
Yes.
He says when he started making admissions,
Yes.
she preempted him from doing so. I would say I advised him, you still have to make a choice.
Yes.
She uses the word, I preempted him to do so.
Yes.
And then she continues and says, she engages him, why do you come now? You know that persons have been arrested in connection with this matter. It's not like it's a...
Yes, man. The reason why I'm standing up, man, after my colleague has raised what he raised, I'm standing up just to understand what is the basis of the objection, my lord. Because he starts to
fine.
explain. I don't know what the basis of the objection is. Because I am unable to respond to something that I do not understand. My colleague stands up and says, no, this witness was actually doing this. It's an explanation.
Yes, okay,
What is the
okay.
basis of the objection? Is that an unfair question? Am I badgering the witness? That is irregular, is out of context, it is irrelevant, and all those factors. I don't know what the basis of the objection is, my lord.
And I
With
just
the
read the
permission of the
decision. Let me
court, my
tell
lord,
you.
I will give him another
I read a
opportunity.
decision just not too long ago,
Yes, man.
where it says there is no duty upon a person who is explaining the rights of an accused
Yes, man.
to lecture that person
Yes, man.
on the content
Yes.
of the right as you want from this week. Other decisions say the opposite. You know that.
My lord, my understanding is I am actually not assuming or suggesting that this witness should have lectured Mr. Sibia about his rights. As I'm saying, my lord, I don't even dispute the fact that he explained his rights. But
Okay.
the core of my clarification, and I wish the court to understand that it's not a cross-examination.
No, I understand
It's just a
that,
clarification. The core of my clarification is, at what point did he then bring it to the attention of Mr. Sibia after she has explained that Mr. Sibia has got those particular rights, that Mr. Sibia has got a choice that she can make in respect of the rights that have been explained. She says, well, at the moment at which Mr. Sibia has started to make certain admissions and everything, now, another core of my question is, why did she not immediately say it immediately after she had explained the rights to Mr. Sibia, that Mr. Sibia, even before we begin with the interview, you got to make a choice, buddy. You got to tell me whether even before this interview begins, we are going to want a lawyer to be present as I interview you in respect of this case. A lawyer that you're going to pay out of your own pocket. Or you are going to request me to assist you with a lawyer that the state is going to pay on your behalf. Or you yourself want to continue on your own in the presence of nobody, no lawyer. This witness does not say that, my lord.
Yes. Any other thing, Mr.
Thank you, my lord. Now I need to roll back a bit, my lord, and actually try to get back to where I was because I was a bit derailed, my lord. So I'm going to request to be patient with me. Now you say, man, the fact that you had explained to the accused that he's got a right to illegal representation and attorney, which she could have had in various ways on its own, that was a choice. That's your testimony.
That's correct, my lord.
Andinjalo.
So you did not deem it necessary that immediately after you had appraised him of his rights, that you should immediately bring it to his attention that needed to exercise his choice.
Nje emva kokuthi umtshele amalungelo akho zangibone kunesidingo sokuthi emva kwaloko nje uvele umchazele ukuthi ufanele aqoke ukuthi ufuna ukwenzani.
My lord, when a person say, I understand, my lord, I mean, my lord, that covers everything.
Umuntu methi ngiyazwisisa hayi lokho ke kumboza konke.
So that covers also the fact that I understand that I can have a lawyer on my own. I can have a lawyer that the state is going to pay for me. It also covers that.
Ithi lokho ke kuyakwazi ukuthi kuthwale nokuthi umuntu athi ufuna ukuthi uzoba uye ummeli wakhe noma futhi ke kuthathe nokuthi ummeli uzofuna ukuthi alethwe umbuso ummeli
It
ongakhokhela.
covers that, my lord.
Hayi vala wona.
Thank you, ma'am. I've said to you I've got only 2 questions. That was just my first question.
Ukumbuso wami oqala lo.
But just to close my first question, we have initially said when we started here, right, that a failure to explain a suspect's right in the constitutional context that amounts to an irregularity. And I'm going to put it to you that what you did on that day, when you started to quiz accused number 1 about the content of this case without having heard, appraised him of the choice that he had, that was a fatal irregularity.
Manje ke ukuthi nje ukhulumisane nomsolwa ungamnikanga ithuba lokuthi akwazi ukuchaza ukuthi yena kokwenzani into engafanele yenziwe.
My lord,
Yes,
the rights, my lord, were explained to the accused.
yes. Thank you.
Amalungelo achazelwa wona umsolwa.
Yes, thank you. Now, you have said that on a number of occasions, actually we have agreed. Now, this is my second question, the last one. Now, you have said, ma'am, that on the basis of the experience that you had, we had actually agreed that on the basis of the experience that you have, this was not the first time that you had to interview a suspect. So,
Uthe wena wanguvona ukuqala ukukhulumisana nomsolwa.
that's so.
That's correct, my lord.
Thank you.
Kunjani?
There's a document that I'm going to show you, that SAPS 3M. The first M is a capital letter M, and the next M is an M that is embedded in brackets. I've requested that some documents should be prepared in this regard. I'm going to show you these documents because my next question is going to be based on these documents. Thank you. On the face of it, you are familiar with that document, that's all.
Asithi nje masibheka uyayazi lo paper letter.
That's all.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo ngiyalazi.
Yeah, let me immediately bring it to your attention that on top there is written, you see in parentheses, it's also written there, this is what I have done those are just my inscription because that document was prepared on the document that I have. But nothing untoward is contained in this document. All are clean copies. I'll be asking you on the content of the clean copies. Do you understand? Don't worry about that thing there that's written in Mnisi is me. Don't also worry about this is what I have done. That is also, yeah, no, it's fine, thank you. With the leave of court, my lord, the state is just assisting us with a very clean copy. Thank you, ma'am. You just said, on the basis of your experience, you're familiar with this document, that's all.
That's correct, my lord.
Thank you. Will I be correct, ma'am, to say that this document is an instruction that is directed to the investigating officers on how to interview a suspect?
Ngizokhuluma iqiniso yini uma ngithi leli pheshana leli ileli nikwa abaphenyi ukuthi bafanele phephenye ngayiphi indlela uma bekhuluma nabasolo.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
Thank you. Just to confirm that does not come from me. If you can page through, you can go to the next page. Yeah, it is written there. There's a police insignia there, and insignia is what we colloquially know as an emblem. Insignia. Thank you. And beneath it is written South African Police Service. Beneath that it is written instructions. Beneath that it is written statement regarding interview with the suspect. Do you follow?
I do follow, my lord.
And did I understand you to mean that you're familiar with this document? So,
That's correct, my lord.
now the very first paragraph, I know it was contentious some time ago, but this is law. These are instructions that are directed to investigating officers. And those instructions, the very first instruction says, number one, completion of a statement. It says paragraph A. I won't read everything. No, rest assured. Number one says, paragraph A, the station commander must consult with the prosecutor on circumstances in which the prosecutor requires that a warning statement of a suspect be obtained. In every such case, the suspect must be interviewed. In every such case, the suspect must be interviewed and this statement must be completed. This statement must be completed every time the suspect is interviewed, irrespective of whether the suspect has been arrested or not. Do you follow?
I follow, my lord.
Do you understand what is contained here? When it says every time that a suspect is to be interviewed, this document must be completed. I can see, my lord, there's an objection that is coming. Thank you.
As a court, please, my lord, we've been through this process. When Advocate Mshololo was cross-examining Sergeant Mukhani on this very document, my lord, we indicated at the time that this document is meant for an exigency where a statement is taken from a suspect. One can, for instance, think of a situation where a police officer stops a person who's got a suspicious object in his possession, perhaps a laptop or something, and he asks him, but where do you get the laptop? And he says, I bought the laptop from X. Now the policeman says, well, let's go and verify it. It can hardly be argued that in that situation, this form must be completed. It's just preliminary inquiry to verify what the accused is saying, and that's precisely what this witness did. We indicated, my lord, at the time when Advocate Mshololo wanted to use the document, that even the judge's rule referred to a statement, the taking down of a statement, and this is not what this witness was doing, my lord. We submit that, therefore, the questioning on this form is irrelevant.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes,
Mnisi,
madam.
this witness,
Yes.
did she take a statement from the accused number 2?
My lord,
Wait.
this form says.
No, I'm not talking about the form.
Okay.
I'm talking about the law. Did she take a statement from accused number 2? Because as I understand it, she says when Mr. Phansi started making admissions.
Mr. Sibia.
Sibia,
I'm
yeah.
not talking about
Sibia,
Mr.
fine.
Danzi.
Sorry about that, Sibia.
Yes.
When accused number 1 started making admissions,
Yes.
she preempted the process. And she says, subsequently, I reported to Colonel Gininda
Yes.
that accused number 1 wants to make a statement.
Yes, my lord.
And Gininda said, okay, wait for me at Phosphorus, is it?
Yes, my lord.
Wait for me at Phosphorus. And Gininda came and interviewed accused number 1. So this witness, she just exercised a limited interview with Mr. Sibia.
Thank you.
The person who actually conducted a full interview is her senior, Gininda, who actually, I don't know if it was lawful or not, but after that, Gininda said he would arrange for accused number 1 to make a confession, for somebody to take his confession. That's how I understand the evidence. So this rigmarole about her not having advised Mr. Sibia of his rights, etc., 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 it doesn't percolate into her taking a statement. She never took a statement.
My lord, I'm mindful of the word that the court has used. That which I'm doing here is now a rigmarole. I'm very mindful of that parlance. But nonetheless, madam, I'm not suggesting that this document says a statement. This document, my lord, it's very clear. It says this statement must be completed. In other words, this document must be completed every time the suspect is interviewed.
It
And you
says,
yourself, my lord.
what? It says the statement or it says the document?
My lord, it says this statement.
Right, not document. There's a world of difference between a statement and a document. This document, this statement, she never took a statement. That's how I understand it.
My lord, if this document says this statement, if it is not this document that is being referred to, what else is being referred to?
Because
in
that
the
one-
context of this. of
Sorry,
this
yeah, I
sentence.
understand you, Mr. Mnisi.
Yes, sir.
But that document says there must be a station commander present. That document. And the senior public, does it say that, Mr. Baloyi?
Indeed, my
And a
lord.
senior public prosecutor. Now, they are at Vusumuzi Hostel. Accused number 1 is seated in a motor vehicle. The window is open. She is apprising accused number 1 of her rights. There is no senior prosecutor there.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no station commander there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
May I be allowed to
No, you're
complete my
allowed.
cross-examination?
Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed.
Yeah. Is it correct, ma'am, that these instructions, which in the context of what you were doing, were also law, you did not comply with them because you did not complete this document?
Manje le miyalelo lo phela kwakuwumthetho kodwa ke wena awuzange uyigcwalise.
My lord, I am not only Okay, my lord. According to, let me first put it like this. According to this document, my lord, it says, this statement must be completed every time the suspect is interviewed,
Yes.
irrespective of whether the suspect has been arrested or not.
Yes.
So, my lord, this is an instruction to say this document, but there is nowhere where they say the police must not interview the suspect without this document.
No. That is very lame. That is exactly what is known as a rip maroon. That's very lame. But nonetheless, thank you, ma'am. The question is it correct that at the inception of the interview that you had with accused number 1, you did not complete this document as per instructions in this document?
Wila iqiniso yini ukuthi eqale wakhuluma nomsolo oqala zange ligcwalise le document lena.
My
Njengoba kushiwo kumyalelo yaye le document.
Yes or no?
My lord, it was not necessary for me, my lord, to complete this document, my lord, because anyway, my lord, even if
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Can I explain?
Sorry, ma'am.
No, I need to explain.
I've indicated to you that if you need to explain, I'm going to say, or I'm going to request, can you please explain this? Now the question is simple. Unless you want me to retract everything that I've said about your resume, that I don't have any doubts about it. The question is simple. The question is it correct that at the inception of the interview that you had with accused number 1, Mr. Sibia, you did not complete this form? Yes or no?
Ngifuna uyebo noma cha ngayithi eqaleni ukuthi uqala ukukhulumisana nomsolo oqala azange uyigcwalise le document.
As a quick please, my lord. The witness said it was not necessary to complete the form. She's trying to explain. Now my learned friend stops her. Can she be allowed to explain?
My lord, can I explain? My lord, even if I was having this form
Yes.
and completing it, my lord, with the suspect, upon realizing that he is making admissions, I was not going to continue with the completing this form, my lord, because an officer needs to be the one who takes over when a person makes admissions.
Ukuthi umuntu khona izinto afuna ukuzamukela angikwazi ukuqhubeka ngale nto ngifanele ngime khona lapho ngoba kufanele ukubeke nomuntu oseqophelweni eliphezulu ukuthi abe khona uma ukuthi kufanele ngiqhubeke ngigcwalise le document.
Thank you, ma'am. Now the next page. Let's go to the next page. There is also an insignia there. Next to the insignia, it is written station and CR case number and all those things. Now, below that is written South African Police Service. It also repeats the very same wording statement regarding interview with the suspect. Do you see that?
I see that, my lord.
Now, another instructions. Another instructions to investigating officers, not to captains or people who are holding commission ranks, but to investigating officers. That instruction says.
Now, umimlayelo othi okhuluma nabaphenya and lo mlayelo uthi
this form. Now it says this form, not statement or document. This form must be completed every time a suspect is questioned, irrespective of whether the suspect is in detention, after an arrest or not. Where any space provided on the form is insufficient, to continue on the folio and attach the folio to that page. Folios must be signed by the suspect, interpreter, deponent, and a commissioner of oath. But what I want us, not that these other parts of the statement are not necessary or irrelevant, but the gist of my second question is it now says this form must be completed every time a suspect is questioned, irrespective of whether the suspect is in detention after an arrest or not. Is that not an instruction, ma'am, that is directed to an investigating officer who is about to interview a suspect who is in detention or not? Is that not the case?
Akona imiyalelo onikwa umphenyi ngoba kuthiwa la kuleli form lela asisona isikhathi uma kukhulunywa nomsolo leli form leli fanele ligcwaliswe.
My Lord, I still say that it was not necessary for me, my Lord, to complete this form.
Thank you.
Ngisaqhubeka ngithi hayi kwakungeke sesingeke isidingo sokuthi ligcwalise leli form.
Yes. I take it. It will no longer be necessary for me to go through this form as per the instructions on what is it that you need to do when you are interviewing or questioning a suspect who is in detention after an arrest or not. Because this form is self-explanatory. I said, this is my second question. Let me finally put it to you. That your failure to comply with these so succinct instructions as contained in this document, which you yourself have said you are aware of this document, the day on which you had an interview which accused number 3 was not only an irregularity, it was a fatal one. Thank you, Madam. I've got no further questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Any answer?
My Lord, I still say, me questioning, my Lord, accused number 1 was not limited, my Lord, based on this form.
Okay.
Impendulo yami ithi ona ngibuza umsolo oqala kwakungaphelele kuleli document.
That document, and this is not a hard and fast rule or finding which I made. That document talks about an interview.
Let me
This
immediately
lady-
assist the court in
Yeah,
this.
it talks about an interview. I listened. This witness was not conducting an interview.
Let me immediately assist the court.
Wait. She was apprising an accused, arrested person of his rights.
That is so.
An interview presupposes this lady seated with Mr. Ngemibuzo
Yes.
in an office.
Yes.
That's why they talk about
Yes.
a station commander.
Yes.
That's why they talk about a public prosecutor.
Yes.
You heard me? Okay.
Yes. My understanding, Madam.
No, I'm not arguing.
Oh.
That's how I say it. Fine.
May I
No.
kindly request an indulgence just to clarify?
No. That's how I see the law. You can address it subsequently. There's no problem. We're not going to argue about this.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay.
Because I was just about to say, my Lord, that
Sir,
subsequent to
let's not argue about
as
this.
it uses the court. Thank you.
That's why I say I'm not even making a finding. I'm just telling you
Thank you,
my preliminary view.
Thank you.
Therefore, Mr. Mumalo.
Thank you, my lord. I don't have questions to
Okay.
this witness. Thank you.
Mrs. Mumalo.
As it pleases the court, my lord.